so these problems are called, they call these linear. We're basically solving in 5.1, solve linear trig equations. And that title tells us a couple of things. Solving equations means you're solving, you have an equal sign, and then we're solving for x equals. The trig part is, well, I have the cosine function. And this part where it says linear is the exponent. Notice how there is no little 1 or 2 above that. Okay? So if we did a parallel problem over here, let's just say I did this problem. 2 times x plus 1 equals 1. Class, can you subtract 1 from both sides to solve for x? No, you could do two things. You'll need to do what? You could distribute, or I can divide by 2 on both sides. If I do that, I'm left with x plus 1 equals 1/2. If I subtract 1, remember when I subtract 1 over here, I'm going to subtract 2 over 2. And the reason why I do that is because negative 1 can be written as a fraction by over 1, and then I'm just multiplying by 2 over 2. And then we'll get an answer that x is equal to what? Negative 1/2. Okay? So essentially we're going to do the same thing over here, but pay attention, I have this trig function here. So class, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Divide by 2. What's left? What should I do next? Subtracting 2 over 2, because these are equivalent, right? So I'm left with cosine of x equals negative 1/2. I'm trying to solve for x, solve the trig equation. I'm trying to solve for x here. It gives me a hint here, x is between 0 and 2 pi, so within a full rotation of our unit circle. So I need to get x by itself, because that's what it means to solve. So I'm going to do what? We're going to take the inverse. Class, what can I write now? Alright, what does this mean? Remember in your calculators, when you have two sides of a right triangle and you take the inverse of that trig function, you're actually trying to find an angle. Class, what does x represent? So an angle where cosine and its side lengths are negative, think about it. Show me with your fingers, how many quadrants is cosine negative? There are 2 quadrants, right? So if on your unit circle, I know that in quadrants 1 and 4, all trig functions and cosine are positive. But remember, we're trying to find a negative. So I know I'm in quadrants 2 and 3, and I'm looking for negative 1/2. Remember, cosine is the first order pair that I see. So I have a negative 1/2 here, and a negative 1/2 here, and you'll actually recognize they're in the same colors. The reason why that's the case is because of your reference angle. Your reference angle in this case is a 60-degree angle. So here, you pay attention. Class, is this degree or radians? Radians, so we're going to have an answer in radians. Cosine negative 1/2 is at 2 pi over 3. And the other location is at 4 pi over 3. And that's our answer. So when it says solve the equation, solve for x, solve for the angle, you're just getting that variable by itself. Remember, you'll take the inverse, and then you can use your unit circle to find those locations.